Okay, now it's time to look at differentiation in the template that you've got and also throughout your units. So when it comes to differentiation, are there different or adjusted activities for students with lower levels of pre-knowledge or skill? Okay, remembering that the level of prior knowledge will dictate what they can learn. So if they are struggling and don't have that prior knowledge, how have you enabled those students to get that prior knowledge that's needed for them to learn that new content that's coming? So it might be through scaffolding or chunking, or even just doing some kind of accelerated program with them to get them caught up to where they need to be. Are there also differentiated or adjusted activities for students with higher level pre-knowledge or skills? So not just the same stuff, don't get them doing more and more activities. Nothing worse than going into a maths class where you're already got a really good pre-knowledge of what's going on and you're really good at maths, to then just be told that because you're good at it, you have to do the same thing but more times. And so rather than doing every second question, now you have to do every question, and you have to do every question from 3 different textbooks. That is a waste of that student's time. If they've got that content, how can you help them to go deeper with that content? Maybe you're going to apply it to the real world, go a bit wider, get them to make connections between the content that they've just learnt and other content that exists in their life or in other subject areas. You want to really be broadening and deepening their understanding, not giving them more and more of the same. If you do that, your extended students are actually just going to slow down because they're smart, right? They're just going to go, well, I do know this, but I'm going to do it really slowly so that I don't get given more work. So think about how you can actually make things, once they've finished that kind of basic stuff, to actually get them to do stuff that's more fun and engaging and that connects for them. Are the adjusted activities clear in your program? Now, this is one thing I've found quite frequently when I talk to teachers, is that actually they've got those differentiated activities in their head, but it's not in their program. And so that's all well and good for you, but if you're going to share your program with someone else and they're going to look at it, they don't know how you differentiate your activities. And so you need to make sure it's clear in your program how you are going to differentiate it. It will also make it easier next year when you come back to it and go, oh, how did I do that again? And then you'll probably remember it in class when you have a student that really needs you to change things for them. If you put it into your program, you remember it year in and year out how you actually can adjust what's going on. Next, is there student choice and voice? Are you allowing your students to make some kind of choice around how they might present things to you, or how they might go about collecting the data and the information that they're going to be using? So for example, are they going to watch a video, read a bit of text, listen to an audio, maybe do all three? Do they have to write notes and analyze things? Or are they expected to take some kind of audio notes? Maybe they're looking at a video and they need to watch that whole video, but do they have to watch that one? Can they actually watch a similar video that's in the same genre? So maybe giving the students a choice of animated video that they're going to watch, because you're going to analyze the different types of animation or the storyline or something. And so you allow them choice in what they're actually watching and how they're analyzing it, but they're still learning the same skills and techniques, for example. So how are you actually including that in your programs? Next, do activities match to student interests? Do you have a group of students in front of you that have a particular interest that you are meeting? So if a student has a real passion for media and wants to be highly involved in creating movies and those types of things, then how do you go about allowing them to use that interest to learn in your subject area? Maybe they have a passion for technology, or they love using technology. How can you use that in your program? Think about the students you have in front of you. If you happen to have a really sporty class that love to do physical activity, how are you making sure that you utilize that in their learning? How are you getting them up and moving around and being focused, but also enjoying themselves at the same time? The next question asks, what strategies are incorporated into the program to help support the participation of students with disability? Now here, what I want you to think about is, if you've got learning support, for example, in your school, which lessons would be best for that learning support to come into? And when they come, what do you actually want them to do? Because often what we have is that the learning support will come in and they will sit next to the student and just do whatever they think is most helpful for the student or whatever the student wants. But if you actually pre-plan it and have exactly down what the learning support person will do for the student in that class, that's going to be better use. You also want to think about, have you got goals and success criteria for those students? How have you adapted it maybe for the individual learning plan? Or Have you come up with new explicit learning goals? Have you created new exemplars for them that just shows where they're going to get to and what you're expecting of them? And make sure you work that through with them so that you're not setting the goals too low, but also making sure that they're not too high for them either. You want to make sure that you're in that learning zone, that it's challenging, but also is achievable for them. All right, so our next activity, we're going to be looking at literacy and numeracy strategies and how you've got those embedded into your unit or program.